Good show, good show, good show. Best Bachelor recap ever on the internet. Let's go, let's go. Hello, welcome to You Know Something with Dena and Tia. This is our BachChat Golden Bachelorette recap. And my name is Dena.
And I'm Tia. And today, Dena, is October 23rd, 2024. And this is the 5th episode.
Right. Of Joan's journey. Okay, we want to recap Tia and our pick. We picked our top 6 favorites on the first night. First impression pick. Tia, what are your picks, my love?
Oh, well. Yeah, you didn't tell me you were going to do that, did you?
Well, I can say it.
Well, okay, I've got them. Okay.
I figured you want to brag about it.
My top pick. Of course I do. Hey, my top picks were Jonathan, Guy, Chalk, Jordan, Keith, Pascal.
Okay. Only one you've lost so far is
Nobody. Let's try again. Thank you very much.
It's so hard for me to accept.
Okay, and let's go right on to you and your picks.
Do we have to?
What?
My picks were Jonathan, Jordan, and Keith, like you.
Mm-hmm.
Then I decided Mr. Gary is just the sweetest little teddy bear, so I picked him.
Right.
Mark is the youngest. I think arguably the most attractive. And then Captain Kim, because he was a captain. I find him attractive. So I lost Gary and Captain Kim within those first 4 weeks. So I have only 4 left, and Tia has all 6 of hers left. It was kind of a little running competition, and she's trying to get even with me because I won last year
because you were mean last year. You were mean, and you were like, and then you said, well, I know this stuff because I've watched. Like, you've been into Bachelor Nation. Yeah. I never have.
Since the first season.
Yeah.
And how was I mean?
Well, look at me.
I was a
look
poor
how
winner.
Many I have.
Yeah, well, why don't you be the bigger person this year and not do that?
Because you're losing? Okay. That's a good reason for it.
I did pick Teresa, and she did win. I guess that was a win. I'm not sure.
No. They say married for 24 hours.
Something like that. It was like 3 months or something crazy. Maybe Joan will have better luck. So, they always show a little teaser about what's going to come up, and they showed the little teaser about, was it Mark and she on their date, and then she said, I need to talk to you? Is that what it was? Okay, so that's kind of like, ooh, what's she going to talk to him about? What does that mean?
Yeah, because he's sitting there with Keith and Pascal.
Yeah, and he's saying about how good it went.
Yeah, and then what killed me, though, is when John said, Mark, may I speak to you for a minute? Keith was going, oh, I think this is good. I have no idea why I think this is good, but this is good. And I'm thinking,
we'll find out.
Oh, are you not smart? I mean, why would you think it's good that she takes somebody?
Yeah.
I mean, because wouldn't you want it to be you?
Oh, yeah. Either way, it's not good, because if she's letting Mark go, that's sad.
Well, but that's the first time. I'm sorry. Well, that would be the first time that I would have seen somebody tell somebody, because Gary didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't say, hey, I just want to let you know that I ain't picking you tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't expect that. I just thought that she was going to talk to him about something else.
Yeah. So that's a little teaser. We don't want to spoil it. And then we had a Christmas miracle in October, not November. Pascal was steaming his own clothes, doing his own laundry.
In his tidy whities.
I was going to ask you if those were technically tidy whities.
Yes.
What'd you think?
Please, let's just not show, just be clothed. I mean, you can have a shirt off if you want to, that's fine. I mean, a lot of people, but don't steam, and you know that somebody had to tell him how. He had no clue how.
Yeah. That could have been an accident waiting to happen. Steaming clothes.
In your tidy whities. He could have dropped the steamer.
Yeah.
Dang.
Actually steamed his underwear. I've ironed my clothes while I was wearing them before, and it's painful. All right. So that was a little tease, though, for him. He does look good. You got to admit it.
Yes.
I mean, you picked him.
69 years old. Hello, yes.
Tia actually picked him for me, and I rejected him, but I'm changing my mind every week. Changing my mind. And then he's kind of complain. He was the one that complained because he had to sleep with a bunch of guys in the room, and they were all snoring. And then he says he's kind of lonely now that he's got all this space to himself. So he's kind of had an evolution of Pascal.
I know that he was really sad.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, regardless of who it was. Are you not there for Joan? Are you there for your friendships? Why would you be sad that somebody's like...
Okay, well, wait a minute. Every one of these guys have either divorced or their wives have passed. So, who knows what their lives are at home. But, you are in that close quarters with a lot of people, with guys or chicks. I mean, you're going to form some kind of friendship. Obviously, not on the younger ones because you tell me how it is.
Yeah.
But I think all these guys are kind of made friendships with everybody, and I think that they'll probably go on way after this is over. So
I think you're right. You're right. And maybe they feel, well, Joan doesn't really have that great a connection with me, so I'm going to focus on this positive aspect of it. But yeah, it's kind of a weird psychology of, I don't want you to leave, but that means Joan might love me. So it's all kind of crazy.
Okay, one thing I did write down is because last week we were trying to think, what did he say about his little beach, like when he broke out in sweats and sweating all over Joan, and he couldn't remember what to say or couldn't even have any formulated thoughts in his head.
Yeah.
He said the night was a debacle.
That's a good big word.
I heard it this time.
Debacle.
My gosh.
That is a good word.
Mm-hmm.
Chalk, we hear Chalk say that he would love to get a rose every week. He's starting to become very, peeing around his property. I guess marking his territory would be a better way to say it. And he said Joan gets more and more attractive and more beautiful.
Okay. Did you say peeing around his property as if he were a dog?
Well, you know what I mean? It's like...
No. You didn't come up with anything else other than, wow.
It just popped in my
You
brain.
could have just said marking his territory.
That would have been better.
Probably.
That would have been better.
I'll have to bring poop up sometime, I guess.
Well, I didn't mean poop. I meant...
Okay.
And I wonder, Joan is beautiful, but when you spend enough time in a close quarters with one woman and all these men, that one woman is going to seem more and more desirable. And I think he's kind of competitive. So I'm wondering where all this is suddenly coming. Maybe he loves her. Do you think it's a good he's motivated by love or competition or?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
You do this to me every single week,
Well,
and I'm like, I have to wait to.
I just thought you might have a generalized opinion. What do you think he's doing? Okay, let's go to the next section. So Trista shows up, who is the first Bachelorette, Trista Sutter, ever. There was a Bachelor season, first Bachelor ever. She was on that. She didn't get chosen. She was the first Bachelorette. And how old do you think she is?
I don't know.
I could guess.
40.
51, almost 52. She looks good. I mean, she looks really good. She picked her man on there. His name was Ryan. He's a firefighter, and they're still together. They've got children. It's been like decades, I think, or more. That's impressive. Yeah, they have 2 children. Married in 2003. So what? About 21 years. So she makes an appearance now and then in Bachelor Nation shows. So Joan is asking for advice. Do you remember that conversation? Do you have any impressions of that conversation? Okay.
I said I'm with Joan regarding opening up more to more than one person.
Yeah. Trista, it was weird because Trista said, well, here's my advice. I wish I had opened up more. So is she regretting the husband, the man she picked on her season?
No, she said, I wish I had told him how I felt because I didn't. That's what
Oh.
she said.
The producers say don't give it away. Don't tell one of them. They actually used to not be allowed to say "I love you" out loud, so they would do it in private or do it in the fantasy suite. So, I don't know if that rule has changed or not, but and Joan did say that John, her deceased husband, told her to love again before he died. So, this is kind of getting old for me. This over and over about her husband. Is it bugging you, or do you understand it? He's only died like 3 years ago.
No. Really? I've had too many friends lose their husbands or their wives. And the thing of it is that's what it is. You're never going to get over it. You lost part of you, regardless. I mean, it can be a spouse, it can be a parent, it can be a sibling. And so, no, I mean, I think she truly misses him. The only thing about when somebody passes, you tend to think only of the good times and you don't remember about the bad times. That's the only big, because you forget. And it's kind of like when you break up with somebody. First thing you think, but ooh, and then you forget why you broke up with them.
Yeah.
You're
so.
But
so
death is final.
Exactly. And that's a good time, Tia, just to briefly say there was something in the news, in Bachelor news, not the news, about Joan's husband who passed, having some legal issues, and we don't know for sure what happened, but it was, like a white collar crime, a blue collar crime. Is that a blue collar crime or a white collar crime? I think. Anyway, tax issues, and he pled guilty and was waiting to be sentenced over a tax issue, and then he passed away before he could. That doesn't have anything to do with Joan. I've seen a lot of people saying some really nasty things like she's supposed to curl up and hide and be ashamed or die or whatever, and she's not supposed to say she loved her husband. But that's the father of her kids, and we don't know what happened. So I poo-poo that. How do you feel about that situation?
I'm not going to talk about it.
I think that shows what you think about it. Yeah. So she does talk about her husband a lot, but I think what you said, that's what triggered that in me, was you said, we just remember the good time, how he took care of her, but there were some issues. All right. So she tells Trista, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tia, that she doesn't want to give roses out on the 3 dates. If you think about it, if she gave a rose on the one-on-ones, 2 one-on-ones, and the group date, there'd only be 1 rose to give out.
Right.
That would be kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Extremely.
Yeah. So I understand why she did that. Okay. We're going to go on to the first one-on-one. Do you have anything else to say about your impression about her conversation with Trista?
Mm-mm.
All right. So, no roses on dates. The first one-on-one goes to Keith. And the card says, I want a love that gets better with age. And my mind went to cheese. But you and I both love cheese. But it was a winery. Going to a winery.
And I love wine.
I love wine and cheese
Prosecco.
together. Yes. Yes.
Love them together.
So to me, that sounds like a fun date. And this should give Keith time to open up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Show some depth.
Mm-hmm.
So they go on a helicopter ride. And just interrupt me if I skip over a point you want to make. They go on a helicopter ride, which is kind of required for a bachelor season, and they hadn't done it yet. So, not a fan of the helicopter.
Okay, well, I just said he gets the one-on-one. Opie on a helicopter ride? I'm not into helicopters.
I would be holding on for dear life. It's kind of hard to have a conversation on a helicopter.
I just say no.
You really wouldn't
get
on?
I would. I don't like helicopters. And then the earphones, that is not good for my Jack to Jesus hair.
True. No. And you can't really have a good conversation in a helicopter because you
Unless
can't hear.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Yeah. So they do have a beautiful view. We hear Joan, a voiceover while they're riding in the helicopter of Joan saying Keith reminds her of her husband, John, again, they had a big personality. He was the life of the party, but she wants to see the deeper side of Keith.
And he's free spirit.
Yeah.
And then I did put the life of the party, and you're right. Reminds her of John.
Yeah, which I didn't picture her husband that way. That's interesting. I've never seen a picture of him or anything, but I feel like the beginning of this date, and we'll see what happens, but that he's on the brink of elimination. Like, she's going to give him one last shot to find something there. I mean, he got the first impression rose weeks ago, and it's all kind of falling apart. So, and they actually fly over the mansion, and the mansion men are in the pool.
Waving, hating him. So, there you go.
Chalk's jealousy comes out again. He doesn't want it to be a great date. He wants to find out, but he's glad they're getting together because he's hoping that she'll say, okay, we just don't align. This is not going to work, and move on from that. I saw they have deleted scenes on ABC.com, and they actually did a water ballet in the pool that was pretty funny that they cut out, but they were doing all these synchronized movements. That's kind of cute.
Oh, wow.
I'll include a link on it. I think they should have shown it, but okay. So Keith says he really wants to show her who he is, and he's feeling pressure to reveal all this to her. They land at the winery, and Joan says she felt comfort and safety with him, which are her key words, But she still feels like that she wants to see confidence in him. You know, he kind of just has, like you said, had a debacle every time they've been together. And, maybe wine will help loosen them both up. So they meet the owners of the winery. It's called Babcock Winery. What were your impressions of that couple? Did you have any thoughts?
I just thought, what a great life to have a winery.
Wouldn't it
and
be?
They've been married for 32 years, which is exactly what Joan and John were married.
Here we go again. 32. I thought, did they just say that to trigger all that again? But they were kind of like I guess you call them a crunchy, hippy-dippy couple.
Hippy-dippy.
And I felt like they were looking, when they were walking up towards them, I did make a note that Mrs. Babcock was kind of looking Keith up and down like, that she, because he's kind of big and dorky. But I still find Keith attractive myself. All right, but back at the mansion, we peek at the mansion. Mark is feeling emotional. He's feeling doubtful about what he's doing there. He doesn't feel like he's doing enough, and then he sees a humming. And he tells Pascal, and I put blank. I couldn't remember the other person telling this.
Well, he was talking to his daughter on the phone.
Oh, I missed that.
About butterflies.
Oh, tell me about that. I missed that.
Well, he was talking to his daughter, and he said, remember when you said that every time a butterfly comes around you, it reminds you of your mother?
Okay.
Well, obviously, I hung on to that one because that's exactly what I think about my mom.
Wow.
And he said, I saw a hummingbird. And he said that a hummingbird actually sat in his wife's hand. That is cool. I don't care who you are, that is cool.
Very cool. Because they barely land anywhere, so that's pretty amazing. So sure enough, what happens? We see a hummingbird in a tree. They zoom in on it. And I thought, me being a little cynical, did the producer say, can we go rent a hummingbird and throw it out? Do they have hummingbirds at pet stores? I mean, what were the odds that a hummingbird would be sitting still long enough for them to film in a tree? But sure enough, there was a hummingbird. So I can't remember who he told it to. I have Pascal as one of the guys.
Did you not see? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're completely off the subject because you said, did they hire a hummingbird or whatever? Okay, did you not see that girl that got married and her mother had just passed and butterflies were her big deal? And it was an outside wedding, and all these butterflies literally attached to her dress.
Really?
Her hair, everything.
Wow, and they didn't release them on her.
They just showed up.
Wow, no, you need to give me that. That's
See?
very cool. So I am cynical, I guess.
Okay. Yippee.
He kind of takes that as a sign that this can work. I'm going to give it another shot. I'm going to really show how I feel and give it a shot. He feels like the darkness is lifted. He feels hopeful and bright. Let me ask you, Tia, before we move on from that subject, if, God forbid, you pass away before I do, or poor Greg does. What would be your sign, you think? What would be your animal spirit thing?
I don't have an animal spirit. I mean, I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that.
So you wouldn't tell Greg on your deathbed, I'm going to come back. Hey.
No, I'd tell him on my dying bed, I would say, if you don't take care of the babies, I will come back and haunt you. That's what I would say.
Yeah, Tia's 4 little doggies. I can see that. I could totally see that. Well, you wouldn't want to come back as a rabbit because your dogs eat rabbits in your backyard.
I mean, I would just hope that whatever makes anybody happy that knew me, I hope that whatever that is would make them happy to see.
Yeah, I can't think of really like a signature pendant that you like, or we have a friend that loves butterflies. I can't think. I think I would have to be a very clumsy animal, a goofy animal, like a panda bear. Panda bears, if you see them, they're always rolling down hills. Can't stand up. They can't corral them into their cage. They're just
Okay, Dena, I would never ever think of you then because I would never see a panda bear.
Well, if one came over your fence,
A panda bear.
Mm-hmm. Or if you were going down the street and one was walking down the street, well, you'd really know it was me for sure because
Well, for sure I would know it was you then.
Random panda,
especially in the winter time.
Okay, so back to the winery. And I think again, I don't want to beat the subject, but I'm just thinking it's really not you coming back. It's the sign you send, is what I think people think, right? It's like, that's not my mother, the butterfly. That is a signal that I'm around you by sending those out, like the bride you talked about.
I just think it makes people feel a presence that they've lost. And, whatever. Because I didn't, it's just that my mother passed. My sister and I went to a vacation place and we were sitting there and all of a sudden there were hundreds and hundreds of butterflies that just appeared.
Wow.
That's why. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing.
So I just think you kind of set whatever you think.
Yeah.
And I hope you change yours from a panda bear to some.
Well, I can't be a bug because you just squish me.
No, not a bug. Like a puppy. A clumsy puppy.
Clumsy puppy.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. All right. Back to the winery. Back to the good times. He says it's hard for him to open up and talk about his hopes and dreams in the future because he's afraid of being disappointed. He's been through a lot with his wife. You remember his wife's story? His wife did not pass away.
Mm-hmm. An addiction.
Yeah, that's almost worse. Like,
mm-hmm.
They're there, you can't get to them, you're having to raise the kids, they're having to see it. She is, I won't say choosing because I know addiction is horrible, but, well, I guess she is kind of choosing between the addiction and getting better and being with her kids, so
it's a hard road for anybody.
Yeah, I have sympathy for her, I'm saying that for sure, but, awful. He said he hadn't even talked to her in like 10 or 12 years, something like that, and is raising his kids, or raised his kids, I guess. So I can see that, like, lived in this awfulness for so long and disappointment for so long that he holds back. And he also kind of covers his sadness with humor. Like, I go to humor rather than getting deep. He's like a sad clown, like me. Yeah.
Again, you're saying things that are going to get you a date real quick. Wow.
I'm a clumsy panda sad clown.
Wow. The hits just keep on coming.
But I felt like they had a good talk. They had a little wine, and he said hometown would be like barbecue at his house with his kids. That sounds fun to me. I think he's a good guy. He's just not very physical with her. I think she'd just like him to grab her and say, I'm falling for you. You don't.
Mm-mm.
So you don't think she feels any...
I just didn't see any chemistry.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. But they had it at the beginning. And maybe he's just a gentleman. I don't know. And there was the deleted scene here. It's like I was watching deleted scenes of them stomping grapes, and it was really cute. But I think I might know why this turned out like it turns out is she kept saying when they picked their shoes off to stomp the grapes, she said, "Your feet are so big." And she said, "Your feet are huge." And she couldn't stop looking at his feet. Now that might be a good thing. I don't know, thing or bad thing, but she was kind of bossing around like, okay, stomp over here. Okay, let's go in a circle. Okay, stomp harder. I mean, she wants to be taken care of and feel safe and not have to leave, but she's very controlling, I think.
I don't watch behind the scenes things.
Yeah. I'll include a link. Pretty interesting. Okay, so back at the mansion, the men discuss with Mark that he's the only one who hasn't had a one-on-one date. The group date card arrives, and everyone is going to go on the group date except for Mark. So we know he's going to get the one-on-one, which I kind of thought they would when they were talking about that. He hasn't had one yet. And the card said, "Our love has no time to spare." So did you think it was what it was? Saw that clue?
Bowling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did too. They were like, we're going bowling. So Mark will get the one-on-one. They're kind of, guy especially is kind of concerned about doing another physical date after the kickball date.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that he did have torn meniscus surgery recently, so I think that was from the kickball. So do you want to go to the alley and start bowling, Tia, or do you have any thoughts before we...
Well, I just wrote, Mark was relieved when the card came in.
Yeah.
And I said, Jonathan is a little bit cocky.
What made you say that? Do you remember?
No. I just, well,
I mean, he is. I'm not going to argue with you. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we've kind of turned
Any and everything he does is a little bit cocky.
It's true. So Joan had on a cute bowling outfit, and I think they liked her seeing her in a casual, fun atmosphere. And then they had to pick out their bowling shirts and shoes. What did you think about that?
Well, Pascal's not liking the shirt with the shoes. So funny. He did roll the ball well. Is what I said.
Yeah, he didn't like the fashion, but he did pick out blue because he said he looked good in blue. And I thought they all looked cute.
But he didn't like it because it didn't match.
Yes, true.
He's OCD.
And it's probably polyester and scratchy and not a fashion brand, not a designer brand. I thought Jordan
Silk.
Yes.
Cashmere.
Yeah. He could have tied a little cashmere sweater around his neck, I guess. Jordan looks hot up at bowling. So
Rose a strike.
Yes, it was so hot. His form was so hot. Jonathan
rode a strike.
Chalk.
But then he had to do a pose, is what I said.
I don't remember his pose.
Okay.
After he was done.
Oh, he held it.
Like
and
that finish.
Like, you're too cocky for me. I loved you at first. Now
he still looks good.
Oh,
dreamy
eyes.
He
still looks good.
Liquid
all right, chalk, rose a strike.
Now, don't you think they kept filming them till they got captured? All of them get a strike and probably edited that together. They'd been waiting on me for a long time. Joan did it immediately, I think, didn't she? So that was very impressive. She'd be like you, Tia. You'd just be like, yeah, any sport date, fine with me. And Chalk is kind of going for it on this. He nuzzles up next to her. And I think she's uncomfortable because she's like, I don't want to be disrespectful to the other.
Right, but I said a guy cracked me up saying it's a full court press.
Yeah, he didn't like it. And then when Joan got up to bowl, he was like, dude, no. Give other guys a chance.
I know. And I think he was selfish.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I was like, when I was watching, I thought, I don't know what Tia's going to think. Is she going to think this is hot? He's showing his love for her, and the rest of them are kind of standing back, and he's like, this is my woman. Or is she going to think, this is rude? So it's the latter, yes.
And I think Jonathan was exaggerating a bit about,
oh, that he didn't like it?
No. About his bowling career, and his mom, and they had started all that stuff. I mean, maybe they did all that, but
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was after they finished bowling. Yeah, when they kind of took each other aside and everything. Um, Chalk says he didn't care. I'm here for her. I'm not here for you guys, which I kind of like that. And I think that's smart. But does it translate into your relationship? Is it a red flag? So the after bowling chats, Jonathan talks with Joan. That's what you were talking about. He shows her some family photos. Um, Shows his mom's driver's licenses, but I guess that's the only photos he had to show. I don't know how old his kids are. He showed them when they were little, and I don't know how old they are now.
Okay, well, I have to go back to the bowling because I still have notes.
Oh, sure, go. You had. I thought you were skipping to when Jonathan was talking to her
No,
about
I
bowling.
just wrote what I think
Okay.
and I said, I think Chalk is being too much. Chalk even moved away from, okay, I'm sorry. When Chalk finally got up to bowl, then Guy sat down.
Right. I forgot that.
And it was kind of like,
I got your spot.
and he probably wasn't happy about that either.
Yeah. I really feel like he could punch somebody. He gets red face like Captain Kim used to get red face. Chalk, I mean, not Guy.
Right.
So after they've finished bowling, they're doing their chats, they're taking her aside to talk to her. And Jonathan talks to her about the photos like we talked about, family photos. Guy has I put awkward kiss. Do you remember the kiss?
Mm-hmm. It was awkward.
He was like holding her head between his hands. Is that what it was? I get the week. And it was like almost like he couldn't find her mouth. Like, uh,
I don't know. You may like your face scrap. I don't.
Oh, it messes up my makeup.
Well,
in a certain.
I don't want my face scrap.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, that's just a personal thing, I guess. But in a private time, that can be. Pascal tells her, "I've got a really good life, girl. I want to share it with somebody. I am wanting to see his life so bad because I feel like he's a character. Is he really real? We're gonna find out, hopefully." Jordan, he really wants Joan to meet his family. He's just very laid back and understated and kind of normal, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to meet my family. Maybe you won't, but he's still the hottest one. They all kind of are making a good case for Joan to choose them because this is important. I don't even know if we mentioned at the beginning. Whoever she picks she's going home with them to meet their family. It's a big deal. Final four. So they're all trying to entice her to come to their hometown. I've got Chalk. They're talking about a future. Oh, Chalk asked her, I forgot which side of the bed she liked to sleep on. And I thought, how's she going to react to this? And she said, oh, well, facing the bed or when you're laying in the bed? I thought that was kind of a cute question. I listened to other podcasts saying that was too forward, but he meant sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good question. She said on the right, which I'm a right person too. You look at the bed. So I didn't have a problem with the mess. Joan says she's falling for more than one guy. She wants to go to all their hometowns. And I couldn't help but wonder who would have gotten the rose if she was giving out a rose for group dates. I think it might have been Chalk because he was putting in the most effort. Do you have any other thoughts about the bowling date?
No.
Okay. So that leaves Mark to have a one-on-one with Joan. Joan has on a great dress. I'll include a link to her fashion. She seems to like to wear green and yellow and spring colors. She looks so good. Flowy colors. I've just put Joan sits down with the men before she leaves. And I'm not sure what she said. I don't know why I wrote that down.
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay, good.
Everybody goes, oh, you look so pretty. So Joan went over to sit down on the couch with Mark. Chalk didn't even get up and move to the other couch where there was plenty of room. No, he just wanted to stick his bottom right there beside Joan because he was not even happy for Mark.
Oh, so when she had to kind of wiggle her way in between because he didn't get out
of
the way.
He barely moved. I think he was straddling the arm of the couch, actually. It was crazy.
He's marking his territory again.
And then I said, Pascal needs to be a motivator because he was just like, "You got this. You look so good."
To Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're all just very supportive of each other, which is kind of strange. It's strange but sweet. So they leave, Mark and Joan leave in a red Porsche convertible. And Joan says, I'm driving. Of course. And we talked about this before the other day. I don't like that. I think she should let the guy drive, but I know you don't agree.
I don't.
Joan, talking to the camera out of his earshot, says that she really likes Mark. He checks so many of the boxes, the things she wants, but he's very polite and quiet, and we're formal with each other, which I agree with that description. She wants him to loosen up and express his feelings for her and emotions and get touchy-feely, I think. That's what I would want. So they go out on a yacht. I didn't write down what the what the one-on-one date card said.
I didn't either.
Something to do with water, I'm sure. Okay, well, on the boat.
It didn't say anything because he was the last one.
Okay, so it was just,
no.
You're going on about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And this should have been a really, really good romantic date, but number one, it was cold. Joan was freezing.
I went, she's cold, Mark. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Get her warm, silly.
Exactly. He could have been rubbing her shoulder.
Yeah, and I said, why is he not talking? Is he just mesmerized with this boat?
I don't know. It was so awkward.
No.
Just totally quiet. You could tell she was just
that
like,
that was painful to watch.
It was. It should have been amazing. Now, Captain Kim would have known what to do on a boat.
I wouldn't want to have been on a boat with Captain Kim.
He could have said, does anybody have a blanket? My woman is cold. I'm like, you.
No, most Beckham.
Oh, your dog.
My
know what to do.
would have fetched a blanket. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And maybe he's the young one in the house, and maybe he just doesn't know.
He ain't that young.
Yeah. Right, so it was terribly awkward and quiet, and he should be curious about her. If you're into somebody, you want to know.
No, he just kept looking out at the water.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I felt myself sweating and getting embarrassed for him.
I did too.
Oh.
I did too. And Joan, you could see, she was kind of sick in her face, like, this is going to be a long date. And I think at that moment, she was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So they brought out a scavenger card to kind of try to save the day. I've never played scavenger card with Never Have I.
Okay.
Ever. Does that make sense to you?
Never have I always cut it. I have never. That's what and it's a drinking game.
Yeah.
And boy, did they need a drinking game at that point.
I think Joan was like, are you finished with do you want some more? And she was like,
no, I said, that's supposed to be a drinking game. He's the man. He should say it first in my book.
Okay, yeah, one of the questions was, would you rather, have you ever been the one to say I love you first? And he said, no, I never. And Joan was like, wah, wah.
That was a big womp womp for me.
Now, the producers put that question in there for him to say, I never have, but I want to now. You know, at this point, before the hometown dates, people are professing their love in previous seasons. I know it's weird, it seems too soon, but they're just not doing it. And he definitely was. He missed that chance to get her warm. He missed the chance to say, I love you. There, so. Mark.
If he doesn't love her, I mean, he shouldn't say it, but
yeah,
I think a guy should say it first.
I do too.
Just saying.
I think he could say, I'm feeling like I might be.
Right. And then I wrote, I'm finding Mark really boring.
Boring is a good description. And maybe she just doesn't bring out that side of him, you know? It takes two people. I feel like a loss of a spouse and grief is what they have in common. And that's an icky thing to always talk about and build a relationship on. That's not enough.
I put, thankfully, he's redeeming himself a little. And then I went, wait, stop. See,
never mind.
Joan even thinks he's boring.
Yeah, I have a great charcuterie board that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And he tells her about the hummingbird. And I think he thinks this will get her, that I'm ready to try. I think it's just a little too late. And they
Yeah,
get up and they don't even eat
right. And I said, bless his heart, he thinks he's fine.
I know. They stood up and walked away from that. I wonder if it was even real. It could have been fake. But I thought, man, not one bite of cheese off that charcuterie
Okay,
board.
you know what? I put Mark wants a hometown visit because his family can talk for him.
Oh, yeah, talk him up. Yeah. Because his daughter, was chosen by The Bachelor this past season. They're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's an awkward situation for Joan, too, because she knows them and met the daughter and is doing promotion probably with her right now. So it's kind of awkward. Um, okay, I don't feel any chemistry. He should be kissing her and professing how he feels and stop talking about the wife at this point. Let's stop that. Joan says, there's still something missing. The next day, Joan comes to the house to speak to Mark. Well, and like we said, when we first opened, this is what they teased us with. He's bragging about how well the date went. He's on cloud 11. She takes him outside. And we both knew what was coming, right? And he didn't seem to. And
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
Hmm.
I felt like I wanted to put the sheet over my head, the pillow over my head that I was laying on because I thought, oh. And I think her explanation was good that she's further along with other men and she's further along with her grieving process than he is. Although I think his wife's been gone longer than her husband. She thinks his heart is just now getting ready to find love and that he's far behind. They aren't in the same space. Do you think that's what it really was?
I put, bam. She didn't see herself in the conversations because she had to do most of the talking.
Right. Yeah.
Duh.
Their future was never talked about. And he never asked her questions about herself that we saw. So, yeah. And he was. So he goes back in and tells the men. They seem shocked. Now, Chalk seemed a little.
No, he says, well. That's what he said. Well.
But his eyes are kind of like, they brightened up a little bit. And then that's when Pascal said, Mark is my best friend. And I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, they can't all live together and marry Joan. They can't stay together any longer. So, I would take that as a bad sign if I like one of the guys and I overheard him saying, "No, I don't want you to leave." So he's good about it. He really handles it well. He says thinks he'll find love one day. There's still love in the world. And Joan will always have part of my heart. Now I feel like that's a setup for him possibly being the Golden Bachelor next year. They kind of. I'm not giving up on love. That's usually how they do it. Do you think he would make a good bachelor?
Who's going to talk for him? Is all I want to know.
I wonder if he'd have more confidence.
Oh, okay.
Being his show.
I mean, you're the one that's applying for the show,
Yeah.
So I don't know. You tell me. I would rather have all my teeth pulled without any Novocaine than to go out on a date with him.
Tia, we could be double dating one day.
Never.
You wouldn't double date with me?
No, because Greg would have to do all the talking. No.
I can't believe Mark's going to come between our friendship.
He's unfun. He's completely unfun.
Maybe I could bring out his fun side.
Okay, well, maybe you could.
Now, Mark, I heard him interviewed on a podcast. His favorite musician is Taylor Swift. Does that make him better for you?
No.
His favorite meal? A buffet.
Oh, he's getting worse.
He does love to ride motorcycles. That's cool.
No.
He has skydived before. His proudest accomplishment is his children, which, I mean, that's good. His love language is touch. You wouldn't know it. You would not know it. And then Jones's gifts. Has anyone given her a gift?
Oh, yeah, Charles gave him pictures of his wife.
There you go.
There, see?
And yet it didn't work. How did that
Mark gave her a fire truck. Bam.
That didn't work. I mean, were they supposed to go out to the jewelry store and buy jewels for her? Or what? I don't know. Maybe they could use Amazon? I don't know. Anyway, okay, so we get up to the rose ceremony, Tia.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if she was giving out roses, maybe Keith would have gotten a rose on that. She had more chances. I'm not so sure about Mark. I don't think Mark would have, but I think maybe Keith, she would have been giving him more chance. You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so we have 6 men and 2 have to go. So did you write down the order in which she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, would you like to reveal who got the rose?
The first one was Pascal.
I want to see his life so bad. So I'm so
Okay.
glad.
The second was Chalk.
Obviously.
Third was Guy.
Right.
Fourth was Jordan.
Yes, my man. My man.
Ugh.
I think it'll be interesting to see how the guy, since his wife is still alive, how his kids, if his kids support him, then she shouldn't hold a grudge about his ugly divorce. You know what I mean? Like, I think kids reveal to you who the father is. So if the kids are like, no, you can get your buddies to meet her because we don't want anything to do with you, then we'll know it was a bad divorce. And I also wanted to say to you, very interestingly, Guy's wife is a senator in Nevada. She's a Republican senator in Nevada and has been since like 2013 or something. So she's on the internet, very powerful woman. So I feel like maybe that's why she wanted to keep all that ick quiet too. And so that kind of reveals a little bit about Guy, I think. Keith leaves and says, I feel like I'm a better man. I'm excited for what's next for me, a second chance at love. But now she decides for some reason that she wants to walk Jonathan out and ease him out. So maybe, I wonder if there was just one little thing that turned. She was into him, and then she was obviously closer to him than she was to Keith, and felt like she needed to sit down on the bench and talk to him about what happened. Do you remember, did you have any impressions of that conversation?
I just thought that she thought what we thought. I mean, button your shirt up.
I think she felt he just wasn't her type.
Right.
He was a little too into the stripping and the chestiness, so he might be a lady.
And she didn't like magic.
Oh.
Especially talking about it on national TV. Just saying.
Yeah, and we still disagree on what magic means, but
no, we don't.
Okay.
You ask my husband.
Yeah.
And I never said a word.
That's
what
true.
did he say?
He said poop.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, I have you to say pee and poop both.
Your
I'm
work
the
is
winner.
done. She talks about what a great guy he is, how special he is. I think she means that. I think they have a good relationship. He said she validated his character and made him feel seen. So he's still claiming to be like a...
Oh, that's all he is seen. Because he looks at himself all the time.
Yeah.
I get mad at myself for picking him.
I picked him too. I mean, it was first impression. First impression, he looked good. So in the limo, his ride, he says he's devastated. I'm not sure I believe that. He thought she would want to meet his family. And maybe his journey is just a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He would be great at being a bachelor because he likes the limelight. He likes being on TV. He looks great. So I really feel like...
Ooh.
He does look...
Well, he does, but ugh.
Do you think he would wear his tuxedo unbuttoned?
Yes.
Okay. Chesty chest or
and he'd
something.
be saying, if we're not doing fantasy suites, I'm out here.
Oh, true.
So, yeah.
I think it was more of competition. I think it was more when she didn't pick him and his face dropped. It was, you like them over this?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was. It wasn't like, oh, you're the love of my life. Okay, so we got hometown dates with Pascal, Chalk, Guy, and Jordan. And Pascal, the name of his salon is Pascal pour elle, which is Pascal for her. He's got 2 salons. I think one of them's in Chicago for sure. I think the other one is in California somewhere, but it's a full-service luxury salon. He's had it for over 30 years. He's got 3 kids. His eldest lives in Canada, a girl. And then he's got a son. They've showed his son a few times, and he's a really cute guy. The other 2 are in Chicago, including that boy. So Chicago, Tia, they're both in college. Chicago is a 10-hour, 30-minute drive from Rockville, Maryland, where Joan lives. A plane ride, I don't know. And I feel like Pascal, does he have a private jet? Maybe they could, they're going to get engaged. She's going to get engaged maybe to one of these guys. They're not going to get married immediately. So there's going to be travel time. Chalk, he's got, let's see, a boy, a girl, and a lab, black lab. He said the lab is his favorite child. So he's a man after your heart. He lives in Kansas, and it's an 18-hour, 41-minute drive away from Joan. 1,231 miles. And then Guy, he's got children. He's divorced. The rest of them are with no. Jordan is divorced, isn't he? Chalk and Pascal. No, Chalk's the only one with the widower now. I think the rest of them are all divorced. So she is going to have an ex-wife situation in the family, which I think can cause issues. Guy's from Nevada, which is a 37-hour drive. Jordan is in Chicago, so the same as Pascal. He's got 3 daughters, all adults. He's a Honeycrisp apple enthusiast, and he won a contest for Mr. Leg in 1984. He does have a good body. All right, so I guess we're going to have to do an update on our picks. Who we have left. Yeah, do you want to go first? Got it here.
4 of my 6, and you have 1 of your 6. Bam.
So the best I can do is to tie with Tia if she ends up choosing Jordan, which I don't think she will, because we both have Jordan. So there's no way I can win this season. Yeah. You have a great chance with the 4.
Well, no, maybe she will pick Jordan. I wouldn't.
Tia, do you realize that you can't lose?
Yes.
It's all 4 of them.
Oh, no.
Unless she just says, I love Captain Kim. I'm going to go find him.
She's not.
It's possible.
I can assure you.
All right, so next week will be fun to meet the family, and it really does change a lot when you go see who you're going to have Thanksgiving dinner with, you know? And you see the person through the family's eyes can really change your mind. Like, wow, they really love him. Wow, I didn't really see them in their element. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Do you have any final thoughts?
I can't wait to see the family visit. Literally, I can't.
We may change our mind. We may turn on somebody again. You never know. All right, guys, we love that you're listening, and we love to hear from you. And we're coming down to the wire here with Joan. And we'll have our next, you can watch it tonight on ABC at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah. Or you can stream it wherever you have a streaming service all the way until next Wednesday, because we will have our recap for tonight's episode out next Wednesday morning to help you get ready for your watching tonight. And we hope you'll join us Sunday for Giggles and Gratitude. That's a totally different episode that we have where we talk about our week and things that are important to us, things we're grateful for, things that made us giggle. And we love you guys. I love you, Tia.
Love you.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.